And we've hit the review portion of the episode. So if you haven't finished it, go ahead, finish on your own time. This is where we do our recap. If you haven't hit the like button, by all means, and if you're unsubscribed, you know where the subscribe button is. Tony, your thoughts on episode 4 of The Last of Us?
Well, I think they're doing exactly what I said they were going to do in our last review. I said they're going to have to slow things down. They're going to have to stretch out Seattle a little bit, and that's what they did. We had an entire episode of Ellie and Dina. That was it. You had one or two, one fight, then you saw another fight going on. So for them to make this 3 seasons at the point of the game where they are, there it's going to be a lot more of episodes like this. I know that's going to agitate people. I know it's going to
I
make people
agree.
upset. But again, they have what they think is a gold mine. I mean, once Joel got killed, the game was decent. They still have things that they can do to keep it interesting, but you can't give another episode like this. Last episode was supposed to be everybody getting together, making their plans, rebuilding, give us some good backstories, and then you tease us with the scars. What you should have done was go to Abby's version of the game and do that whole storyline, because then you could have jumped back with Ellie tracking her down. That would have made more sense for me, because for those who don't know, Abby does have quite a good storyline that makes her playable in the game. And I'm trying to figure out when they're going to do that part. But so far, they're going by the game, which I can appreciate, but mm, it's it's going to start getting a little slower. And we know how I feel about TV shows getting away from what got them to this point. I know we want a good story, but it's a difference between a good story with action and a good story with fillers. And that's what this episode was. You gave us a good story, for Ellie, but kind of slowed the pace a little bit. Kind of need that to just pick back up just a little bit. Go to Abby. Give us her storyline. Let us see her and her scar, just so y'all know. I need to give us that one. And then you can pick back up with Ellie and Dina and Tommy tracking down Abby and her crew.
Yeah, because we're in a really tough sell because I understand that they think they're sitting on a gold mine. This show is not talked about in the same way that other shows are talked about. Last of Us never gets the hype, it never gets the acclaims, it doesn't get the accolades, none of it. It's a good show. It's never been a great show. Let's not get those two things confused, even when we did have Joel in the picture. And I know people will be like, well, it's because of such this reason, or because they deviated from this, or because they did this. This show just didn't have it. Certain shows just have it and just
Loki,
work. And like this show, while enjoyable, um, it's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way from a broad audience because now we're just trying to figure out how to shoe in a lot of new storylines because, well, we made a deviation, which is perfectly allowed. Adaptations are allowed, but they
they
have to
are.
make sense. They have to be done correctly. And for from my perspective, adding the extra complication of now we have, for lack of a better word, a thruple on our hands because we have another man's baby growing inside Dana while Dana's relationship with Ellie is starting to take off. We're going to have to start figuring out how much time we have for that, how she's going to be able to handle, moving around, being able, because, like, your ankles swell, your back starts hurt. Like, there's a lot of other complications other than just morning sickness that can go along with, being pregnant. And then being in an environment like this where everything is exceptionally dirty, it's unsanitary, it's overgrown, and
You need nourishments.
we need nourishments. You have a freak zombie apocalypse going on here because we have the infected just running havoc. On top of that, now we have a civil war between humanity and humanity because somehow we didn't choose survive when it was humanity versus humanity. We have the zealot like Scar group, and we have Wolf that doesn't know how to spell Wolf because for some reason we thought leaving out the one letter would be great. But you know, we have those two sides fighting, plus that, plus everything going on here. I'm not saying the show is going to go downhill rapidly, but if they're going to try and milk it in a way that it shouldn't be, it's going to rub people the wrong way. And this is the beginning of the end of Last of Us, which I truly don't wish for any number of reasons. I'd rather be way wrong and have the show just be nothing but uphill from here and nothing but praise. But from my
Now,
pessimistic point and spot, I have a tough call on it. Go ahead.
well, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I don't. I think it's a great show, but I'm actually looking at it from both sides of the argument that people are gonna say. You got one side that says, well, you're deviating too much from the game. Then you have your other side will say, hey, you need to deviate from the game to keep this show going because you're moving fast. I'm looking at it from both sides. While I think they're doing a great job of telling the story of The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, I also think that the deviations, while they're not too far gone, you're going to have to figure things out more because people like me who's like, wait a minute, why are you doing this? You're going to have to figure out storylines and how you're going to loop them all back together to, like Brent said, make them make more sense. Because if we go like it is now, you're going to have problems when they run up on Abby because
They're
Ellie
not
can't
ready.
handle Abby. Ellie can, and as I was explaining to Brent earlier, that's one of my things that I really do not like about the show is I love the actress who's playing Abby. I love how she brought across Abby's demeanor, but Abby is not imposing. In the game, Abby reminds me of Ronda Rousey. That's how of an imposing figure she is. So now if you're looking at just the show and how if you think Ellie and Abby's gonna fight, it looks like it'll be a decent fight because they're about the same size. Nah, in the game, nah, Ellie gets bodied. That fight, nah. Ellie got absolutely nothing. She could do nothing with Abby. Nothing. Abby's laughing at her while she's doing this. So I want to see the deviation, how they're going to do that because it was just pure physicality with that fight, and I don't see that character being that imposing on Ellie because we know Ellie can fight a little bit. So it's only and it's only going to take one or two good shots, and Ellie could get the upper hand on her. But in the game, you could have gave Ellie a baseball bat. Wouldn't have mattered. Would not have mattered. So that's one thing I'm waiting to see how that happens. Now that fight could actually happen this season because then you could have a nice little time jump to where Ellie has to heal up because she does. Yeah, it's some problems that Ellie goes through after that first fight. So you could have that happen as season two ending episode, and then pick up season three with the aftermath of Ellie healing up, and then you get Tommy along for the ride now because now you got to go around too, and now you got to go find Abby's crew because I I think they can do it, but it's going to take some work for it to work out.
It's a lot of stretching at this point. There's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yep,
But at the same time, we hope these writers pull through. I'm not rooting against the show. I'm just pessimistic by default. So if you make any kind of deviations, and I don't really see how you're going to make certain things line up,
Miss
it's
Marvel.
it's kind of hard. But again, at the same time, with everything like involving, Abby being far more opposing as far as things are concerned in video games, we also realize video games can also bring insanely unrealistic expectations of what the human body does look like, can look like, or should look like. A la say basically Kratos, because regular man then becomes a demigod, then becomes a god, then he starts killing gods. It's like uh, mm, about that, Chief. I just hold up there for a minute, but at the same time, like we get exactly where everything's going on here. It's going to be a lot of interesting twists, a lot of interesting turns. I hope they're able to pull it off. And for someone who
I
didn't
think
play
they
the game
can.
like me, I think and hope that they can. But at the same time, Tony, any final thoughts before we wrap up our review?
Yeah, I want to address Antonio. Yes, the comparison between Abby killing Joel on the show and the game was almost identical. They did change up a couple things, but they were so minor that it didn't matter. it was still the gist of what happened in the game. You just take out that Dina wasn't there, Tommy was there, L was still there. It works. But so again, those are minor changes. Any more? Well, I would like to say we forgot to say Iron Man sucks, but I can't forget that. And also, with Brent coming into town for us to go to MomoCon, I need to take a vote on how many people want to see me take Brent to the hood because I think that would be hilarious. Brent, let's go back to my old neighborhood.
Be sure to hit that lovely subscribe button, and we will see you in the next one.